Hello, this is not actually the Daylight Midnight show. This is a bit of a bonus pre-show show just for this week. Last week, episode 14, thanks to the wonders of outfit roulette, I had to wear a dress during the show and lipstick and a big white jumper. And I honestly didn't realise at the time, until it was pointed out to me afterwards, that because I was wearing the big white jumper, you couldn't really tell if I was wearing a dress or not. So I have been accused of bailing out and chickening out and not wearing a dress last week. So I thought I would just record myself wearing it once again to prove to you that this wasn't just a flowery shirt. I was indeed wearing one of my wife's dresses. And to prove the bottom of it is a dress, there we are. Oh, steady lads, don't get excited. Now on to this week's show. Over to you, Greg. Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight show. My name is Greg and I'm growing a beard for Halloween. Slightly different feel to the show this week. You'll notice I don't have a desk in front of me. Normally I drag my heavy desk over to this end of the office. I may have mentioned this before, but I've got quite a bad back. My spine is about as much use as a paper barbecue, and I've managed to upset it this morning cleaning out our guinea pigs. So I didn't fancy dragging the desk over, so I have a lot more freedom today to move around. I haven't decided yet, but this might actually be the last show of Series 1. The reason is that this is episode 15, and 15's always been a bit of a lucky number for me. When I was a lad, there was one summer where I won first prize in a raffle, and I won a big prize on a tombola at a church fete, and both times I had the number 15. So it's always been a bit of a sort of fortunate number for me, so I thought, what a great way to end Series 1 with episode 15. But then I thought, well, it's Halloween next week, and I'd like to do a scary story special. But then I thought, well, I could do a standalone Scary Story special and then start Series 2 the week after. But then I thought, well, if you're going to do a special next week, you might as well just make it episode 16 and carry on. So then I thought, well, maybe I should keep going up to Christmas. So I checked the calendar and worked it out. And if I record one just before Christmas, the final Friday before Christmas Day, that will be episode 23. So that's nearly half a year taken up. So I could do 23, have a break for Christmas, come back in January 2021. It'll be a new year, a new start, a new show, a new series. Do another 23 episodes will take us up to the summer holidays. Another break, another 23, it'll be Christmas. I don't know how long this show will go on for, but that might be a nice pattern to repeat every year. What I'm trying to point out to you is I can really overthink things and get lost in my own head. So I still haven't decided if this is going to be the last episode of this series or not. Tune in next week and you will find out. So what kind of show is it going to be this week? Let's find out by activating the Gregometer. If you haven't seen this before, it's a very scientific device. This was put together by dynamic designers in Dubai. What this does is it registers things like my heart rate, the ambient temperature of the air around me, the alignment of the moons of Jupiter in relation to the alignment of the hairs on my fringe. It'll put all that information together and come up with one word that it thinks sums up the kind of mood I'm in and therefore the kind of show you might have, and it will beam that onto the expensive display case behind me, which is going to be quite painful for me to access. So I'm going to swivel around like this, and it's already there because I've got to turn it around before I started the show. So the word that it thinks sums me up today is the word flat. Just one of those days, I guess. So let's pretend that was turned round before we started. No retakes with this show. I'll blame the pain for that, put that in the wrong place. Let's move on to the Door of Delights. I'm not going to do a Seagulls update. I don't think we need to look at what Brighton are doing every week. I'll just do regular updates throughout the season. But one thing I would like to point out, it's the Battle of the Albions this week. Brighton and Hove Albion are playing West Bromwich Albion, and they're both quite long names. And I wondered to myself, is that the longest combination of names that you have in any Premier League match? So I looked it up, and in fact it isn't, because when Brighton and Hove Albion play Wolverhampton Wanderers, you have a combination of 43 letters in total. As I have said, I tend to overthink things sometimes. So we'll leave the Seagulls for this week. We will have a look in the brown folder though. This is where I write down little thoughts that I have throughout the week, and then we can talk about them. Number one this week, if you don't cook quinoa properly or chew it properly, it goes out the same way it comes in. 24 hours after eating it, it's like wiping ball bearings out of your arse. See, sometimes I write this stuff down without really thinking it through. I've written D drops, and I'm not sure what that means. Oh yes, I am. I know what this is. My wife works for a children's charity, and every so often they get sent things for families to use. So she brought home some of these, right? These are basically, it's a vitamin D supplement in a drop that you can give to breastfeeding babies. And when you look inside, you've got the bit of paper that you always get with any medicine, and then you've got this tiny little bottle, and when you hold it up to the light, I reckon about 5% of the space in that bottle has got liquid in it. So you get sent this box, and the amount of liquid that's actually in it probably covers the D that's on the front. So I was going to go off on one about the environment, about the waste of packaging, and then I realised it says sample only on the front. So I'm going to give them a bit of a break on that one. Needn't have written that down, but there you go, that's killed 90 seconds or so. And the only other thing I've written down is the word calendar. Now, a couple of weeks ago, episode 13, I was researching loads of facts to do with the number 13, and I came across something that was a 13-month calendar. I had heard about this in the past, but I'd never really looked into it, so I did some research. There's something called the International Fixed Calendar, which is the best known example of a 13-month calendar. And it was put together in 1902 by a guy called Moses Cotsworth. Instantly my favourite name of all time. Now, he was a British guy, he was a business analyst, and he was an accountant. And he realised that he was struggling to monitor how his businesses were doing month to month, because each month has a different number of days in it. So it's really hard to project how it was going, because how can you judge it when one month has 28 and another has 31 and they don't really go in a sequence? So he came up with a 13-month calendar. 4 weeks in each month, you have 13 months in a year. 13 times 28 days equals 364, so that's 1 day short of the calendar we use at the moment. So he invented a new day called Year Day, which he tacked on at the end. So effectively you'd get to the end of December, you'd then have a bonus day to celebrate, and then you start again from January the 1st. I think this is a brilliant idea, and I don't understand why it didn't take off. Every month would start on Sunday the 1st, every month would end on January the 28th. If I said to you, I want to meet you up with you on September the 16th for lunch, you would instantly know in your head what day of the week it was. You wouldn't need to check your schedule. Businesses would have 28 days in each month. I don't understand why this wasn't taken up. Apparently it was taken up by George Eastman, who founded the Kodak company, and supposedly until 1989, if you worked for the Kodak company, you ran on this calendar. I haven't really found evidence of that, but apparently that was so. So I want to get behind this. I think we should bring the International Fixed Calendar in. Your birthday would be on the same day every year. So it might be a Tuesday, but you can always book that and take a couple of days off. And the great thing about it is, in a lot of these 13-month calendars, they decided to change the name of the months. Now, Mr. Cotsworth didn't do this. What he did is he tacked an extra month in between June and July, and he called it Sol, in honour of the sun. But there's a French guy who named the 13 months after different artistic and literary figures. So you'd have a month called Charlemagne and a month called Shakespeare. Imagine your birthday being on the 11th of Shakespeare. So I've bought into this, and I've decided to rename all the months of the year. I was going to call this the Calendar of Greg, but we already use the Gregorian calendar. That's the one we use at the moment, and it's called the Gregorian calendar because it's named after Pope Gregory XIII, who instigated it all. I told you, sometimes I overthink things. So I'm going to call it the Daylight Midnight Calendar, and this is what I would like to name all the months starting next year. So from now on, January will be known as the Darkness. February will be known as Chill. March will be known as Hope. April will become Resurgence. May will become Growth. June will be called Joy. July will be Barbie Time. August will be Beach. September will be known as Slow Down. It's the only one I'm not keen on. I might change that one. October's new name will be Conquer. November will be Ice. And December will be known as Decoration. We're going to keep the same 3 first letters, but give it a name that kind of reflects the festivities that happen throughout the months of December. And I think if there ever is a 13th month, I think we should call it Daylight. Join me, my friends, in the International Fixed Calendar League, which was closed down in 1937 when it was obvious the League of Nations weren't going to take it on. I think we should bring it back. There are, of course, negatives, but they're only short-term ones. There's things like businesses that publish quarterly results where you can't have a quarter of 13 months. And if you have food with a long date, say like you had a tin of beans in your cupboard that ran out in March 2024, if we changed the calendar, you wouldn't be sure when it ran out. But the answer is just eat the food quicker. So there are negatives, but I think it's a winner. So let's get on with Outfit Roulette then. I want to make a change because I think I've worn this t-shirt a couple of times. So moving slowly so I don't yell, I'm going to take off the Flamingo Donut shirt and I'm going to put on my dress shirt. Why not? Let's be a little bit formal if that comes up. And I realise my cycling jacket is on there, but I can't think of something to replace it with, so I'm going to leave it on there for now and hope I don't get the orange jacket because that's the one that messed up the camera. So I haven't got a desk to roll on, throw it up in the air and catch it. So the first colour is blue. So next week I will be wearing my dressing gown. Under the dressing gown, I didn't throw that properly, there we go, I will be wearing red, which is a white shirt. What a wonderful combination. And to accessorise all that, will be black, which means I'll be wearing my blue glasses. So that's outfit roulette sorted out for next week. A rhyming couplet to end the show on. Greg changing the calendar might fill you with frustration. My birthday, just to let you know, is the 10th of decoration. I'll see you next week. Have a great 7 days.